Hi, everyone. This is the Data Leaders podcast. I am your host, Les Muller. And today on the show, I have Simon Hauswirth. Simon is leading one of our conversations on our Data Leaders Transformation Roundtable in Zurich in March in 2018. And he will talk about a very, very interesting topic, driving company strategy with data analytics. Simon is the SVP of BDN Pricing and Analytics over at GTA Travel. Simon, welcome on the show.
Thank you, Les.
It's great to have you. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to becoming a data leader?
Absolutely. I have a background in physics, which brought me in touch early with data and the importance of analytical capabilities, but then diverted into business on a more strategic role as a consultant, a strategy consultant for quite a few years before moving then in the industry which I am currently, which is travel-related e-commerce, in various roles, most related to transformation, business development, strategy, and most lately data analytics and pricing. So I've kind of taken a wide journey across different functions, but always functions which benefited a lot from insight into the business, which was driven by data and analytics.
Fantastic. And, definitely you have the background that you mentioned, but what really compelled you to become a data analytics professional and end up at the intersection of business and technology?
Well, I was always intrigued by the insight which you can get by really understanding what's happening behind the scenes, and having proper data and analytical capabilities is crucial to that. Started in my academic career, obviously, but then went on through the business functions I've been with, and I realized that you can make so much impact by having the right information, the right data to act on, prepared in a way which is relevant to the people who will act on that. And therefore, that was kind of my key insight, being in these roles. You can only properly manage and lead a business and transform a business and develop it if you have the right insight, if you have proper data. And therefore, this kind of capability has, of course, grown a lot over the last years and decades, even in importance. And within the companies I've been with and I've seen, it has really exponentially risen in importance over that time. And that's the basis for my passion for the topic.
Mm-hmm. So your session titled Driving Company Strategy with Data Analytics is more than suitable then to your role. And also your job title over at GTA, it also involves being the leader of the company strategy, right?
Yes, so I started as Chief Strategy Officer and kind of got, in addition, the pricing and analytics departments as a responsibility about a year ago, which plays very well into it because strategy is driven by data, as is the title of my session, and therefore the two areas very well work together.
Brilliant. And ultimately, so why did you choose this topic? So is it mostly based on some of your recent experiences, or is it also a personal area of passion of yours? So what really made you choose this particular area of focus?
Well, I thought, what are the participants of this session most interested in? And I think there are people much more capable and knowledgeable than me about the technicalities, the kind of details of how to improve data analytics capabilities. And I think the value I can add after my journey in business is the link between what happens with the data and then how it is put to action, where I see the most value created in the end. And that's why I chose this particular topic, because I can, to some extent, bring the experience and the insight from both ends of the table. So kind of the people who provide and work on data analytics, and then the people who consume it on the other end, top management, owners, business people in the commercial functions, etc. But that's the area I feel comfortable, and I think that it might be interesting for some of our participants.
Yeah, they are definitely interested in that. So even our members who are on the more technical side of of data functions. They are very, very excited to find out more about how they can actually drive the company's strategy using data analytics. I mean, what do you think? Why is this area so important for data professionals to learn more about?
Yeah, I think if you're in a given function and you have a certain task, a project, an activity, a responsibility, then you're very clear what you need to do. But I think it's very important at the same time to understand the big picture of how what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve fits into the company's vision, strategy, execution, then also. And that's, I think, where it's important to open the mind also and try to look at what you're doing from a different perspective, to see how you can interact, how you can come or kind of develop to that goal of achieving the maximum out of what you're doing. So enabling people and the company you're working for and the teams you're working with to get the maximum benefit of what you're achieving with your daily work.
It makes perfect sense. And did you have any particular real life experiences or success projects that you actually built the content around?
Yes, two come to mind here. One is a recent project where we in our company essentially rebuilt the whole BI system on a new platform, which was a major project, obviously, but I think very well executed by teams which had started that even before I joined in this function, and which highlights how you can create impact relatively quickly. And another area is the topic, a more strategic topic actually, when we thought about our growth perspective, and everyone talks about China, and in our business it is really a huge growth driver for the company and for the industry. Using insight, and that's internal and external data and information to really enable the company to exceed the growth and participate and overachieve the growth in this market over the last 2 years. So these are two specific areas where I think it was crucial to be effective in enabling people to work with data.
Indeed, and it seems like they've been very ambitious projects. I mean, I imagine that you encountered quite a few obstacles along that journey. What were your main challenges?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about the BI system. In our case, we have been living for a long time with legacy systems, which were good at the time. But of course, the world evolves, technology evolves, and our systems came to their limits very strongly. So being not scalable, being slow, time to market is not up to par. And also being in a very complex architectural environment with all the other IT platforms around. And therefore, that was kind of the starting point, how to really make quick progress in rebuilding a BI platform. And there was a decision taken to really decouple that, so make it kind of greenfield, not depending on IT timelines and schedules, and build on a state-of-the-art platform. And I think it was a crucial success factor to making that happen.
Absolutely. And so if you look back at your progress, so in hindsight, what would you spend less time and energy on, and what would you prioritize?
I think less time and energy I would spend on planning for the very long term of such a project. In that case, that's I don't know, 9 months or more ahead. Yeah, because the world changes very quickly, and therefore you need to be able to constantly adapt also your activity and your project plan and your kind of deliverables. What would be even more important, and I would do more about, is communicating with the rest of the company, essentially explain, really ensure engagement, and then also ownership. I mean, of course, you do that, we did that, but it cannot be overestimated how much importance this brings.
Absolutely. Yeah. Communication and collaboration. I think 90% of our guests always bring that up as being, one of the key, skills and techniques that really allowed them to succeed. And regarding your session, so what will be some of the main focus areas and the key takeaways? So what will the session cover, first of all?
So I would first start from my industry experience and show the importance of data analytics in the specific environment, our B2B e-commerce business, and then how to make data and analytics actionable in this environment. So how did we ensure and how are we trying to ensure to make an impact for the business with what we're doing in the data analytics team? And I think these are the two main inputs I will bring, and then open up the discussion to the participant to understand how this can be taken to other industries, to the environments which my colleagues then are in. And I think that will enable people to get some actionable insight out of that.
And B2B e-commerce, that's a very interesting industry, I think. And your audience members will come from all kinds of organizations, and also their roles will include, analytics, data management, business intelligence. So who do you think that in the audience will benefit most from the session? Are there any particular groups that you think would gain more value?
I think most obvious, it's those people and groups who are in contact with a commercial function, so who are kind of in a translating role between the pure data and the technical part and then the business, because that's essentially the value proposition and the objective of these kind of roles to make an impact. But I think even beyond that, for the people who developed platforms, the capabilities, the technical people, I think that can also be quite valuable to think a step further about what's then happening with it. And I think also, I hope also these people will then also take something away from that session.
I'm sure that will be the case. And it's always very important for us that the audience members walk away with more than just interesting ideas and inspiration. We want them to gain some actionable insights as well. And we want them to be able to take some actionable steps when they go back to their organization. I mean, how will the audience members be able to put the sessions insights into practice? What do you think?
Well, my aim will be to really have everyone think about real actions which they can take when they come back to the office after the discussion and after these meetings. To make more impact in that sense. So sitting back at the desk and thinking what I'm doing is perfectly great and probably that's what I should be doing, but what else needs to happen to make an impact then to the company, to my colleagues, to the teams around me. I think that's what I would like to achieve with that session.
Fantastic. And if you had to capture only one key idea, only one takeaway, what would that be?
Well, I would say the best data, the best analytics is only valuable when there's some action coming out of it. Because I've experienced that, and many people will have experienced that. You can create fantastic platforms, capabilities, insights, but if no one takes it up, walks with it, and does something with it, puts it to action, then essentially it's not very worthwhile.
That's very good advice. And hopefully the audience members will, take that to heart and will actually deliver a real impact when they go back to their businesses. And yes, so Simon, we are all looking forward to your session. Again, it will be in March on the 13th in Zurich. And we arrived at the quickfire round of the interview. So you probably know that I always ask our guests on the show a couple questions, and they always have around 30 seconds to give me a compelling answer. So whenever you're ready, Simon, I'll fire the questions.
Sure, I'm ready.
Brilliant. So the first question is, what is the biggest mistake that you almost made?
Very simply, not investing into data analytics. We have been in a situation where we needed to look after costs and kind of reduce cost, and then almost we took the decision to not prioritize investing into that field, and that would have been a major mistake.
Next question is, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do what you're passionate about, even if it's not clear in the very short term where it will lead to. Because if you're really behind with your energy, with your passion, then you will excel in any case, and that will satisfy you.
And then next question is, what is your most influential book and why?
I would say that's Free Economics, a book by Stephen Levitt, explaining some of the phenomenons in everyday life driven by economic relations in that sense. A very well written book, fun to read. It's a great book.
We'll make sure to leave that in the show notes so the audience members can check it out. And the next question is, who was your most inspirational public figure? It can be someone living or dead, and why?
Well, with my background, I need to mention here Stephen Hawking, the theoretical physicist. I think why? Because even after having known about his illness, he still continued to make an impact, and he didn't kind of stop working and engaging with the public, and also kind of driving a lot of discussion and understanding of that field in the general public.
Yeah, I actually recently read a very interesting article about how his illness actually gave him a sense of urgency and kind of woke him up, because I didn't know that, but back at university, before he found out about his illness, he was actually, one of the cool guys. And then when he found out about his illness, he actually realized that he might have, a limited time to spend here on Earth, and that really compelled him to work harder and with some, more urgency and more intense. And the next question is, what is your favorite quote, and how do you put it into practice?
That would be the quote, "There's nothing permanent except change," by a famous Greek. And I think we experience that every day. You cannot count on things remaining as they are. Change is typically something good, although it might take work and effort, but you should embrace change.
Very good advice. And the last question is, what advice would you give to new and inspiring data leaders?
My advice would be not being afraid to making mistakes, because everyone makes mistakes, and typically it's the best way to learn. So make mistakes, but learn from them. Of course, we never should repeat the same mistake. I mean, this is clear. But I've always seen environments work best where people are open to making even wrong decisions, taking the wrong path, but then correcting as soon as we learn better and we find out. And that's my main advice.
Perfect. And yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we stand for here at Data Leaders, learning and growing and having open conversations and learning from each other's successes and mistakes. And yeah, that's what the roundtable will be about as well. So again, we all look forward to your session, Simon. It will be very, very interesting. And yeah, do you have anything else to add, or would you leave it to March?
I'm looking very much forward to the session and to meeting colleagues in that field. So it will be a great experience. Thanks a lot for making that happen.
Our pleasure. And Simon, it's been great speaking to you. It was great to have you on the show, and all the best. And we look forward to meeting you in March.
Thank you, Les. See you there.